Greetings, class of 2017. I'd like to spend a little bit of time orienting you to Canvas in preparation for your clinical year. I'd like to think of Canvas as classrooms where you take two different courses. One of the Canvas classrooms involves your clinical rotations, 1 through 8. The other Canvas classroom involves your professional skills course, 1 through 3. I'm going to orient you first, in this video, to your clinical rotation Canvas course. It will appear the same for all 8 rotations, but with the start of each rotation, you'll technically be enrolled in a new Canvas course each time. But the setup will be the same for all 8 rotations. So what I'm going to do now is log you in to Canvas and show you what your clinical rotation course will look like. This is the didactic portion of your clinical year. You'll have a lot of contact with me. We'll do assignments. I'll give you feedback, and we'll work together a lot. And hopefully this will put a real academic and solid spin on your clinical experience. I'll always be but an email away or a Zoom chat away, and if you need me to, I can come to your site. I'd love to come to India, but that might take some doing. So anyway, let's get started. First, you log in, and I'll do that. Let's hope I did it right. There we go. And here is your left dash. You should be familiar with this from your first year. Your things that are due, depending on how you have your login screen set up, post-login screen set up. I have a sidebar here that tell me things that I have to work on. I have my announcements and my assignment notifications and my discussion notifications here. You can customize things as you like them. You can play around and do that. But anyway, this is your dashboard. And I'm going to go over here to the left side where most of the useful things for you will be. And I click on this to find my courses. Now I have a lot of courses that I work with in various capacities, but I'm just going to log you into clinical rotation 7. Clinical rotation 1 through 6 is going to look just like this, except that they'll have a different numerical name. What I like to say to people is that when you're navigating Canvas clinical rotations, if you get confused or can't find anything, always go home, and there's home. Always look to your side dash bar to find things and get oriented. So when you're in the Home tab, what you'll see is lots of useful things. You'll see your clinical manual for the second year, and if you click on that, you can open it up and read it. You'll see your overall clinical rubric, which is very important. If you click on that, you can open it, and that's basically your syllabus for your second year courses. And here it is. It tells you passing criteria, fail criteria, remediation policy. It's your playbook. So that's really important. So I want you to feel free to look at that. There's some also helpful things like a competency list by specialty, which helps you kind of guide your study for the various medical specialties: surgery, internal medicine, primary care, pediatrics, behavioral medicine, emergency medicine, and women's medicine. You can take a look at that and get some ideas on how to guide your study. Okay, let me flip back to that home screen, which of course you can find both the clinical year manual, the overall rubric, and the competency list by specialty through the home screen. I think sometimes students don't spend enough time looking around on Canvas, and they miss out on things. They miss out on things like the clinical resource guide that you can find here from the home screen. And it has information about screening and health maintenance that will guide your clinical work. You can click on that link and really get some wonderful evidence-based guidance on that. It'll help you with diagnosis and management. Going back to the home screen again, in your clinical rotation course, there's also some wonderful clinical tutorials that you can watch. These are videos, and they'll help you get through the first months of your clinical practice and serve as useful Pansy board review study. They're on very relevant topics that you encounter in your clinical rotations, also accessed through the home screen. And then there's some of this is going to change with Exact, but there's a section accessed through the home screen if you scroll down that has important links to the departmental portal where you'll get some forms for your rotation sites and other important things. So it's a place you can look around for if you need a 2-minute evaluation form, if you need an exposure incident report. I think a lot of these things will be moved to Exact, so bear with the transition. But there are some things here right now which might be moved to Exact, but we'll tell you that. Now, again, I'm in the Home tab. Here's what's important. You can scroll down and you'll find your rotations. If you're on primary care, this is where you'll find all of your assignments with their due dates on primary care. Now again, with Exact, there's certain things that will be moved to Exact. Certain things like the time logs are going to be saved in Exact. But what you will submit in Canvas are things that typically you would think about as an assignment that the professor would grade and give feedback on. For example, your clinical write-ups are going to stay in Canvas. Clinical write-up number 1 will be in Canvas, clinical write-up number 2, and that's true for all of your rotations. So anything that we would grade as an assignment, think about a typical assignment, you're going to upload those to Canvas. And what you would see when you're ready to upload, for example, your clinical write-up or your Kaplan NPA Easy board review questions that you complete, click on that assignment. What happens is you get the instructions for the assignment, and there's very specific criteria about what you have to do to get full marks. You need to read all of that and pay attention to it to a T if you want to get full marks. There's also the criteria for the unfortunate event of you achieving a failure. In addition to the very detailed assignment directions, which I encourage you to read thoroughly, there's also a rubric, which gives you the hard and fast grading criteria. You can click on these for even longer descriptions. So you see the rubric before you embark on the assignment, so you know exactly what's expected of you. There's the number of points for the assignment, and when you're ready to upload, in your view, there's an upload drop box here in place of speed grader, and you click on that and you drop your assignment in. So anything that's typically graded by a professor that you would consider homework will be in Canvas. A good rule of thumb to pay attention to is if you look in Canvas and there's no drop box for it, take a look in Exact and it probably belongs there. We're going to have some transition and growing pains with that, but we'll work it through. And I'm always an email away if you have a question. So going back to your home screen, you can scroll down again and you can see all of your rotations. So if you're in pediatrics, you can kind of work off of the pediatrics block of assignments. If you're in women's health, you can work off of that block. If you're in primary care or elective, you can work off of that block. All of the rotations pretty much have the same assignments except for elective, which has, in place of an EOR, the elective has something called an elective assignment. And again, if you click on that, there's very clearly defined criteria for what you must do to complete that assignment. There's some tutorials on it, some information that you can read to prepare you to do the assignment. And there's also a very clearly defined rubric to help you understand what you'll be graded against. With this assignment, there's also a peer review, and the due dates are described there for that. Again, going back to home, you get yourself oriented. If you wanted to just see all the assignments without seeing them broken down by rotation, you can just click on the assignment tab. There you go. But again, if you get lost or confused, you simply go back home. Now, there's some other useful things here too. There is your quiz tab, which you click on when you'll take your Canvas exams. I always say quiz is an understatement because they really are very challenging exams, but you're going to excel and get through them and learn how to take them. And they'll be here for you and assigned to you when you need them to be. There's also, sometimes we use something called Pages, and if you click on that tab, in certain courses we have material in those. I don't really use it for the clinical rotations. So the key things that you really need in the clinical rotations is the Home button, the Assignments button if you like to look at the assignments that way. Occasionally we might have discussions, and if I tell you that we're going to have a discussion, you can click there. Sometimes I do post discussion topics that you can respond to and talk about, and I will respond to those if you respond to those. Sometimes there's interesting tidbits of learning in here that you can take a look at, and that'll give you a little edge. Another interesting and important tab is your Grades tab. So going back to your home screen, there are one or two more things that I'd like to show you. That I didn't show you at the beginning that might be helpful. One of them is if you scroll down to each of your rotations again at the home screen, for example, pediatrics, there's a syllabus here. And if you click on that link, you'll see things like reference resources that might be helpful during the rotations. You'll see things like competencies, in other words, what topics you should focus on for that rotation to help you be successful both on the EOR and also in the clinical function. You'll see those syllabi for all of the rotations that I teach, and I think Dr. Giannetti has them for his too. So they're a useful kind of a quick guide, also a kind of playbook for you in addition to that rubric. If you are wondering what kind of resources for study to use, I would suggest that you get several good board review books for your rotations. Pick one or two that you really like and stick with those for each rotation. Dr. Giannetti and I both like the First Aid board review series. They can be had used for very inexpensively on Amazon. I don't encourage you to go out and buy any new textbooks. Use the review books. Use your databases like Dynamed, which you have a subscription to for free through the library. You can contact Miss Kathy Scott about that. You can also get up to date for a student price of around $99 through, I believe, the APA Association. So that's another thing to think about. Dynamed and UpToDate are very similar. The formats are just a little different. Both are valid evidence-based databases. They're useful for point of care. There's apps you can get on your phone, and they're very useful to you clinically and also for study. So I would encourage you to look at that. The other thing you might like is the calendar. You can click on that on your left-hand dash, and it will show you your week and what's due for your various courses. It will scratch out what is past due. So that's something that you might find useful. Some people like to look at the calendar view. I always seem to go right to my sidebars and I go to the home page, but the calendar is something too. So anyway, I hope that you take a look at all of this. I hope you have found this useful. If it generated any questions, please reach out to me. I so look forward to working with you, and I wish you the best as you transition to your clinical year. Congratulations on making it through your first year. You've worked very hard. Take care, everyone, and have a nice day. Bye.